Welcome back, dear students. Today I'll explain the remaining portions of active and passive voice. So far I have told you regarding the different voices, that is active and passive voices, and how to identify the sentence having active or passive voice. And today I'll deal with the rules for changing active voice into passive voice and vice versa. So when you wanted to change a sentence in active voice into passive voice, first of all, you should identify the subject, the verb and the object. And you should keep in your mind that the format of a sentence is always subject, verb, object. Whoever is coming in the beginning, that will be the subject. Then you have to find out the auxiliary verb and the main verb and the object. Either it can be a direct object or an indirect object. Then if you wanted to change the sentence in active voice into passive voice, you have to change the object into subject. Then you have to put the suitable helping verb or auxiliary verb. In case helping verb is given, use the same, but not that the helping verb given agrees with the object. And change the verb into past participle of the verb. And you have to add the preposition by. Then you have to change the subject into object. So don't get worried about all these things. First thing you have to keep in mind that the format of a sentence is subject, verb, object. Then if you are changing from active to passive, the object will be the subject and the subject will be the object. And according to the subject, you have to make the auxiliary verb and every time the main verb. Okay, the main verb will be in past participle, that is a V3 form of the verb. See here you can see the formula of active and passive voice. So in starting stage you can see the tense, then followed by active voice, then the passive voice. And be careful that we are having only 9 tenses in active and passive voice. We are not having the 12 tenses. Okay, we are having simple present tense, simple past tense, simple future tense, then present continuous tense, past continuous, future continuous, then present perfect, past perfect and future perfect tense. So if you are thorough with the tenses already, it is pretty much easy for you. So first I will discuss with the simple present tense. So simple present tense, as I have already told you, the format of a sentence is subject, verb, object. So initially you have to keep the subject and the last will be the object, and there is a change only in the verb. Either it can be the auxiliary verb or the main verb. So if you are focusing on simple present tense in active voice, the verb will be V1 form because it is present tense. Simple present tense means we have to use V1 form and we can use the suffixes S or ES according to the object. If the object is singular, like he is singular, Rahul is singular. So along with these objects, along with the singular subjects, you have to use S or ES. So in active voice, we have to use subject plus verb, S or ES plus object. In passive voice, the change is mainly on the verb. Already we know that the object will be the subject and the subject will be the object. But in addition to that, we have to focus on the verb, mainly the auxiliary verb and the main verb. Here the main verb in passive voice, all the main verbs are V3 form. In all the tenses, in 9 tenses, the main verb is V3 form. The changes is happening only with the auxiliary verb. So the change in passive voice is that if the subject is I, in passive voice, if the subject is I, then you have to use am. Then if it is singular, you have to use is. Then if it is plural, you have to use are. Fine. Then we have to use the V3 form of the verb. Likewise, in simple past tense, in active voice, we are having subject, then verb V2 form and object. And in passive voice, again, the main verb is in V3 form. Then the past tense of am, is and are is was and were. So you have to use was and were. Was with the singular and were with the plural along with you were. You have to treat you as plural over here. Fine. Then in simple future tense, we are having the auxiliaries. It is a fixed auxiliary for future tense, that is shall and will. And it will be V1 form and it will be changed into V3 form along with be form. Here you have to use shall be or will be plus V3 form. Fine, shall be or will be plus V3 form. Then in the continuous tense, we know in active voice or in tense, commonly if you are focusing on the tense itself, in continuous form, the main verb is always in the ing form. That is why it is continuous. Playing, sleeping, like this. So in V3 form, obviously it will change into V3 form. Sorry, in passive form, obviously it will change into V3 form. So in present continuous, while we are focusing, we can see the auxiliary is already it is there. Is, are plus V1 ing plus object. It will change into same is, are. Then the new object over here is being. Okay, we have a new friend over here, that is being. And don't get confused with being and being. See, in continuous we are having ing form. Likewise, in passive voice also we have to use ing, that is being. Okay. So the same auxiliary along with the auxiliary being is being used there with the main verb, V3 form of the main verb. Fine. Then in past continuous we are having the auxiliaries was or were. Then the main verb is V1 ing and it will remain the same, was or were. Then the new friend, same like in present continuous, that is being. Then the main verb is in V3 form. Then in future continuous tense we are having be. Already we are having be. Shall be or will be, V1 ing. Again that be will change into being. That is, being is a common factor in all the continuous form. Either it is present, past or future continuous. Everywhere we can see the presence of the auxiliary being. Then the same auxiliary we are using in active voice will be repeated there as well. Okay. Then in present perfect tense. So already in present perfect or in past perfect or future perfect, wherever we are having the word perfect, only perfect, not continuous. Okay. Perfect means we have to use V3 form. In perfect. In continuous we have to use ing form. So already it is there, V3 form is there because all are perfect tense. Present perfect, past perfect and future perfect. So you have to use the V3 form. Then in present perfect we are having two auxiliaries, that is has or have. Has we have to use along with singular subjects. Like has is having s. Same singular we have to use. He has, she has, Rahul has, like this. And have we have to use with the plural. They have, we have, like this. Along with I have and you have. You have to consider I and you as plural. Okay. I have a car, you have a car, like this. Then the main verb is in V3 form. So if we are changing this into passive voice, what will happen? We have to use one new auxiliary, and that is being. Not being, it is been. We have to use been along with the perfect tense. Being with the continuous and been with the perfect. Fine. So it will change into has been or have been, then V3 form. In all passive voice, irrespective of the tenses, we have to use a V3 form of the main verb. Fine. Then we are having past perfect. So the past of has and have is had. So already it is there in active voice, we are having had. Okay, had V3 form. It will change into had been V3 form. Only one new friend, that is being. That is a common factor in all perfect tense. Then the last one is future perfect tense. Here you can see we have to use have along with shall and will. So shall have or will have. And it will change into shall have been, will have been. Been is a common factor in all perfect. So once again I am just repeating. Active voice is same like the tenses we have studied before. Only the changes are happening in passive voice. So I am focusing on passive voice. Okay. The first thing you have to keep in mind is that in passive voice all the verb will be in V3 form. All the main verb is in V3 form. Then A common factor in all continuous tenses being. Okay, B-E-I-N-G. Common factor in all continuous. Present continuous, past continuous, future perfect. Future continuous. Then in perfect tense means present perfect, past perfect, future perfect. The common factor is being. If you are thorough with this, it is pretty much easy for you, and I hope you understood. And now I'll show you some examples of these tenses, then you will be thorough with it. Okay. Some examples is in the active and passive voice. So first we can see present simple or simple present. They make cars in Germany. They make cars in Germany. So here, who is doing the action? They. Then what are they doing? Making. Made. Okay. Make. What they are making? Cars. So the subject is they, verb is make, and cars is a object. So in passive voice, we have to change the subject as object and the object as a subject. So here the object cars will come as a subject. So cars, then make. Only make. We are not having any further auxiliaries. It is in simple present tense. So we have to use either am, is, or are. So cars, that is in plural. Cars is a plural. So we have to use are. Cars are. And what is the V3 of make? Made. Cars are made in Germany. Fine. Next, mother is baking a cake. So what is mother doing? Is baking. What she is baking? A cake. So mother is a subject, is baking is a verb, is auxiliary, and baking is a main verb, and a cake is a object. So here you can see ing form, means it is continuous. Then is there. So again we can see that it is in present tense. So together it will become present continuous. So in present continuous we have to use a new auxiliary, that is being. In all continuous we have to use being. So it will change like a cake, only single cake is there. So we have to use am, is, or are. We have to use is. A cake is being baked by mother. Baking will change into baked, because in passive voice all the main verbs are in V3 form. So the V3 of bake is baked. Then you can see past simple, then past continuous, and present perfect. So now I'll focus with present perfect. So see, I have cleaned my room. Have cleaned. So have is there. We can see it is in present. Then cleaned. We can't identify whether it is V1 or V2 or V3. But together with have, we can't use V2 form. Obviously, it will be V3 form. So that is in present perfect tense. And when we are using present perfect, past perfect, or future perfect in passive voice, we have to use the auxiliary been. So the answer will be having been along with the auxiliary. So I have cleaned my room. So we can say my room has been cleaned by me. That is also correct. But if you are writing my room has been cleaned, that is also right. Okay. Then last one you can see going to. Going to is somewhat similar like future continuous, or it is going to happen in future. I am going to buy a car means till now I haven't bought. Okay. So going to is showing either a future tense, or it can simply like we are mentioning it as continuous tense, because going is there. So if you are having he is going to make a speech next week, we can make like a speech is going to be made. To be made. Be we have seen along with future continuous. Is it? We have seen with future continuous. So here we have to use going to be made by him. I hope you understood the changes in active and passive voice, and don't by heart the rules. Just try to understand it. Okay, make it in a simple way. Like you have to study by yourself, like you are studying the multiplication tables and all. So I have given you some tricks, like in passive voice we have to use V3 form. Then with continuous we have to use being, in all continuous, then in perfect we have to use be. And now see, one more rule is there in declarative sentence or in a statement sentence. Like in a sentence, if you're having two objects, either a direct object or an indirect object. If you're having two objects, we can make two sentences in passive voice. Like for example, we can say, she brought me a cup of coffee. She brought me a cup of coffee. That is in active voice because she is doing the action. Then we can write it in this way, I was brought a cup of coffee by her. Or we can write, a cup of coffee was brought to me by her. So the second answer is little bit complicated. So if you are writing the first one, it is pretty much cool. And if you are writing the second one, that is also correct. So if you are having two objects, direct or indirect object, if you are having in a sentence, or more than two objects, we can make different answers. Okay. Then the teacher teaches us grammar. There the teacher is teaching us. What she is teaching? Grammar. That is a second object. Grammar is a indirect object and us is the direct object. So we can write, we are taught grammar by the teacher, or we can write, grammar is taught to us by the teacher. Both answers are right. Now I am going to explain about the changes in different sentences. We are having 4 types of sentences and we have to focus on 3 types of sentences while dealing with active and passive voice, and they are declarative sentence, imperative sentence and interrogative sentence. In declarative sentence, it is very simple. It is the same thing I have explained to you before, and here you can see the examples. Go through it, and if you have any doubt, please feel free to clear it. Okay, I think you will not be having any doubt because till now I have explained about declarative sentence, and now I'll explain about imperative sentence. Here we can see imperative sentence. So you might be knowing what is the meaning of an imperative sentence. An imperative sentence is a sentence that is having the sense of a request, a command, or a order, or an advice. Then these sentences are called imperative sentences. Okay. So in imperative sentence, we are having a special rule. In order to change an imperative sentence into passive voice, means either a request, a command, or an order, or an advice. If you wanted to change these sentences into passive voice, you have to follow a special rule. It is not at all similar like in declarative sentence. And the rule is that you have to use the word let. Let, then you have to use the object, then be. Simply you have to write be. Be form. Not be form, simply be. Then you have to use the past participle. Past participle is common in all passive voices. So here you can see help me. So who is to be helped? Me. I have to be helped by someone. So how you have to write? First of all, you have to write the word let. Okay. Then who is the object here? Me. After the object, we have to use be. Then what is the V3 of the verb help? Helped. So the answer will be let me be helped. Okay. Then see, open the door. It is a command or an order. So we can write let the door be opened. The door is object. Then open is a verb. So before the verb we have to use be. Then don't eat this fruit. This is an advice. So we can write let not this fruit be eaten. Here we are using not because we are having a negative statement. Don't is there. So that is why we have to use not. Okay. Don't eat this fruit will change into let not this fruit, because this fruit is an object. This fruit. Then you have to use be. Then eat will change into eaten. V3 form of eat is eaten. Eat, ate, eaten. So we have to use the V3 eaten. Then sing a song. It is a command or an order. So we can write let a song be sung. Sung is a V3 of sing. Sing, sang, sung. So you have to use let a song be sung. I hope you understood imperative sentence. The only thing is that you have to follow this rule. You have to understand it. Okay. Let, then object, then be, then past participle. Okay. You can either remember in this way, like how I remembered in my childhood days, like lobby. Lobby means L for let, then O for object, then B, lobby, like this. It's simple trick. It differs. It was my trick, that is why I just shared. Last type of sentence is interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentence means a sentence that is asking a question. And the question can be made in two ways. Either with the help of WH words like when, where, how, why, what. Or with the auxiliary verbs like am, is, are, was, were, will, shall. Like this we can make the questions. So in both the types we are having some differences. Not a huge difference, a small little difference. So now I'll explain with the help of these examples given over here. So see the first one. Are you writing a letter? Are you writing a letter? Are is an auxiliary verb. Okay. So that is there in your mind. Are is an auxiliary verb. Then writing a letter. There ing is there. Ing means it is in continuous. Then we are having the auxiliary are. So together it is in present continuous. Are we are using with present tense. Then writing means ing means continuous tense. So together it is present continuous. So if you are changing an active voice into passive voice with continuous tense, obviously we have to use the auxiliary being. It is a compulsory thing. Then the main verb writing will be changed into its V3 form, that is written. So two things are there in your mind, being and V3 form of writing, that is written. Then see, are you writing a letter? So you is doing the action and the object is a letter. So in passive voice, a letter will come as a subject. So a letter is a letter being written. Up to this it is okay. A letter will come as a subject in passive voice. So a letter being written. Up to this it is okay. Then see, a letter, only singular letter. So which one we have to use? Am, is or are? We have to use is. Is a letter being written. Then who is doing the action? You. So together, in order to combine it together, we need the preposition by. So together it will become is a letter being written by you. And you can see the next example. Is she beating the child? There is a slight mistake over here. The answer will be, is the child being beaten by her? Because beating is a continuous tense. Is beating, that is in present continuous. So obviously we have to use auxiliary being. It is not here. It is by mistake. So you have to think that the answer is the child being beaten by her? Then we can focus on the WH question words. Till now I was explaining about the auxiliary questions. Now we can focus on the WH question words. Who broke the window? Who broke the window? So whenever we are having the WH question words, we have to keep the same question in the passive voice also. Okay. Same WH question word should be there in passive voice. So the answer will be, by whom was the window broken? Because broke is in past tense. It is in simple past tense. So when you are changing that into passive, we have to use was or were plus V3. Past tense of break is broke, then V3 form is broken. So the answer will be, by whom was the window broken? Here we can't use by at the end. That is why we have used it by whom. So you can even think, whenever we are having the word who, we have to use by whom. That is a compulsory thing. Okay. So next question, why did you write such a letter? Why did you write such a letter? So here it is little more tricky. See, you can see the auxiliary did. Did means it is in past tense. Instead of writing wrote, we can write did plus write. Instead of writing writes, we can write does plus write. Instead of writing symbol write, we can write do plus write. So here it is written did plus write means it is automatically wrote. That is, it is in simple past tense. So when we are going to change that into passive voice, we have to use was or were. So the answer will be, we have to maintain the word WH word in passive also. So why was such a letter written by you? V3 form of write is written. That is why it is written there. So I hope you understood interrogative sentences, and let me tell you very frankly that only practice makes a man perfect. If you are simply listening to this lecture and you are just thinking that you studied everything, it is not correct. You have to practice it. You have to practice with the questions that is given, the solved questions in your textbook, as well as try to solve the questions in your exercises. Then you will be thorough with it. If you are simply hearing it and leaving it aside, you will not remember all these things in the next day. So try to solve it. Try to solve the questions given in your textbook, and try to understand the solved exercises in your textbook. And this is all about active and passive voice, and I hope you understood it. I hope you have understood even up to 90%. And for further improvement, obviously you have to practice. And if you have any doubt, please feel fearless to clear it. Okay, thank you.